เ Yeah.
Oh, kids are off. Monica. Say hi, Monica.
I'm not going to say hi. Wait. Which part of the whole world has the most people? I would say Asia. I would say I would say with the continent with the most people is Asia. China is great.
Где больше всего людей живет, наверное, в Азии.
Okay.
How's Nicky napkin in?
Basically.
Это памятник. Вот можно дадут.
Вам не больше, чем Италия, по-моему. Так что это не зависит. Во-первых, чуть выше болгарского.
This way.
Oh, are you?
O,
Last one, this one.
мы прошли дом.
Hit me with it. Your bullet.
Ну, вон люди оттуда идут.
Нет, где-то камни должны с водопадом еще.
Yeah, but not tonight, yeah?
Come on, you appreciate that. You don't have to watch what you're doing.
No!
Whatever. It's you.
Sarbaja.
To.
The white ones are the girls on the red. Maybe the teenagers, the grey ones. How did it eat you? Did you die and you asked Nazir another? I didn't see any true taxis. just came around.
You going to the stepping stones, Greg?
So we know.
Bias, I don't think so. Please.
You gonna jump?
Bad jump, it's bad jump.
Oh, to that one.
She's in year 6. I'm in year 7. Okay, she's in year 7. Walk, Evie.
Nie znam.
До свину. Можна робити. Слушай, тут потасав. За моєї бабки більше немає.
Down there where we were, where we ate, we're Millie's, that's Lytton.
How about now? Before you think about chicken. What are you laughing for? just do like 3 or 4. Oh, right. Something. Because I want something 56.
Да обратно пошла.
Какой-то японский вагон. Я бы тоже арендовал.
Your brother there. You see him?
What happened?
What happened?
Очень прикольно, я такого не видел.
Taken over, she's on there.
А, вот мы стоим, ну ты вот они очень стоят часто где? Блин, сколько этого снова? Я думаю, сдаются тоже.
Oh, I'm still there. You can't leave your baby on the beach.
You can buy stuff on TikTok.
Waarom ze hebben niet hoog?
Oh wait, Spider-Man's at the
Tell me where.
Bo mamie trzeba safety, please.
Что это почему положили?
Do you want coffee in it?
Plus is my call. You go to the airport.
gelmişsiniz.
Yeah, but it's like
Well, I don't need YouTube music, I just watch the video. Oh. Yeah, I was too lazy to have that.
Не бывает. Это красоты, знаешь, просто себе не
Definitely get on the competition.
Oi, Scarlett, just sit all the way back.
Probably more.
William, go.
Yes, we like getting